So now there's this paradox, kind of like, when you can't get comfortable for an entire day. Why does, why does stuff, have to look beautiful? Why does, a person choose to hit another person's wall next door? A paradox. For the simple and the obviousness involved. Eventually, a person's got to eat. I can't sit here comfortable like a Buddha all day, unless I got food next to me and I'm prepared like it's the end of the world. Person next door hits the wall because they can't stop, or else they would. And they'd live their own life. Or they would just introduce themselves and not be a mystery. And so the paradox with what I'm talking about with planet, earth, world, society has to do with social distancing. The governor in charge of these folks, that these folks elected because they want their rules and their laws and they want their restrictions and they want their behavior and they want their world to be awesome for everyone. Social distancing. The sadness involved with what I'm talking about has to do with me having to say, okay. The sadness with me having been bullied and told to shut up because I'm a bitch. And the kind of calm involved with the process and the system in this kind of world being talked about. Okay. The speed, the time of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or a YouTube channel all about the super secretive and super important safety military team who prevented some fucking madmen like those people out there who are being terrorists with their revolution. Because if they're not, well, okay. Repeat, start, Osama bin Laden. Decide to kill 3,000 or so people and have all of my friends in high school go immediately, having me come up here and try to join the Navy as an officer. And to have all of the work done so far thrown in people's faces and have me smeared as a racist white supremacist who hate Muslims and despises progress and change. A person can be this far apart, laugh and have fun, and they're succeeding during a pandemic coronavirus outbreak like now. And they're not in conflict with the governor who says social distancing. They're not touching. They're chemically, emotionally interacting socially, verbally, visually, with their ears. And the sadness doesn't have to do with these folks, these people, and the governor working together to be all together. The depression has to do with always being smarter, always being faster, always being more of a genius. Rave music every time the song goes. Voila. Every time the heat goes on, the wall makes enough sound to not make the landlord's ears go, oh God, that is harassment. Because the landlord is too distracted by the music happening. And these people aren't trained to notice the different parts to what's being done in the world. These folks are trained consciously. They know consciousness. And so being smart, being wise, these are all brain and mind. Anybody in the world right now with coronavirus and a pandemic happening have a choice like I'm doing now, or they have the Bowlies option outside. And then, on the beaches, just bikinis and big old dicks. Buff dudes with volleyball arms and wrestling in the sand. And ladies with their glasses and their mushroom bags. Who wants to go to get some groceries so we can trip out some more? And so the dying has to do with getting outside of this process with this system in place. Death. Not thinking, not being more smart than these folks and people and having a better language and maybe eventually joining their video game simulation. And instead of dying in death, uncertainty. What's next? Maybe we'll turn into like some sort of acid and we'll just drip. Tibetan traditions have reincarnation. Christianity has heaven. Other cultures have different beliefs, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Zen, Mormon, Amish. And what's different with these traditions, these cultures, these beliefs, and the system and processes within them has to do with the respect of death, dying, and the die, to die. Not the chemical excitement from being funny and laughing during the pandemic. Oh. Not the thrill from that cool unemployment check and no eviction because your socialist city council member has outlawed it. And you can do all the weed you want and you can drink all the liquor on your street, your block. When I was homeless a few years ago, I was staying at a motel. Christian white man, no other description I have available. Christian white man, grouped up, socially connected, and said to me, get out. I was a problem for their house and their system and processes because I said no to the drug dealer in the alley. I said, don't go sell to the kids. I said, don't do sex in the alleyway please stop shooting up heroin and leaving needles. There's kids in the area. There's old folks. Not always prepared to walk up on someone who might be doing some sexual behavior, a sexual act in public. And they got mad at me. And so eventually I had to leave because they had me arrested. And preventing me from using the kitchen. And then I left, and then I was gone. So I eventually got back on my feet. My friend helped me, get to a safe, at least we thought, motel, the cheapest that we could find, so he could afford it for me. Nice man. And then I got into a shelter. It was kind of a little in between homelessness and just sleeping on the street because I couldn't get into a shelter fast enough. They were all full. The motel was across the street from a cemetery. And I would sometimes, come outside, go out, oh, it's still a creepy memory. I would go outside. I have arthritis, so I've always had like a medical marijuana card to help with some of the pain symptoms. Small amounts has been very helpful. And so I would, go out every once in a while, once or twice a day, and not even, all the time. I've never smoked marijuana like a cigarette, addict. And was outside in the fresh air, getting some relief from my body, from the tension and the wear and tear from life and the world, and decisions and choices I made along the way. And there was a man with his arm outstretched across the street in the cemetery, and there was someone next to them standing up looking over across the street, kind of where I was, looking out maybe, possibly. And the person next to them had a needle in their arm, doing heroin, right next to graves from people who had died. A chemical process that was taking place. The dead and the dying, they didn't care. They were having fun. The people in the graves, the point is, it caused confusion. It causes disarray. It causes an entire religious belief system to just go away. Because there is so much doubt, there is so much sadness from a lack of respect and out here on the streets in Capitol Hill in Seattle, Washington, today, now, they're having a similar chemical process. They're all together with the neighbor over there who hits the wall, and I can't even use my heat. But I gotta hear. I can't just put in earplugs and get an ear infection right now, especially. I can't just wear something that puts pressure on my head where I eventually get a headache, a lot like the heat. My mom says, yeah, you can just turn it on. I said, well, what's better though? A sick stomach or cold? What's better? Stuff in my ears to make the silence? Or to just accept the destruction in the world?